When the Canon EOS R3 first launched in 2021, it immediately felt like a very deliberate message from Canon to professionals who had grown up with the 1D series. Sports photographers, wildlife shooters, and photojournalists recognized that feeling instantly. The camera didn't try to impress with flashy specs or inflated numbers. Instead, it delivered authority, balance, and confidence. Even holding the EOS R3 for a few minutes made its purpose clear. It felt solid, dense, and intentional, like a tool designed for real work rather than spec sheet battles. Now, several years later, the conversation naturally shifts to what comes next. Attention is turning toward the Canon EOS R3 Mark II, and while official details remain limited, early information and industry patterns give us plenty to analyze. Timing is one of the most interesting factors shaping expectations around the Canon EOS R3 Mark II. Canon has a long history of aligning major professional camera announcements with global sporting events, and the upcoming Olympic cycle places the Milan Olympics right in a strategic window. At the same time, the original EOS 3 South African Rand is approaching more than 4 years on the market, which is a significant lifespan for a performance-focused professional body. The mirrorless landscape has also evolved rapidly since 2021. Sony made a bold leap forward with global shutter technology, Nikon refined its stacked sensor performance and responsiveness, and Canon itself introduced the flagship EOS R1. All of this raises an important question: where does the R3 line fit now, and how does Canon evolve it without overlapping too aggressively with the R1? Rather than generating loud hype, expectations for the Canon EOS R3 Mark II are building quietly. This camera is not meant to be a revolutionary headline grabber. Instead, it is expected to be a refined, deeply purposeful tool that builds on a very specific philosophy. That philosophy becomes clear when we look at sensor direction. The original EOS R3 used a 24-megapixel stacked CMOS sensor, and that choice was never about chasing resolution. It was about speed, fast readout, minimal rolling shutter, and consistency in high-pressure shooting environments. For the R3 Mark II, most expectations still lean toward a speed-first design rather than a dramatic jump in megapixels. That approach aligns perfectly with the R3's identity. There is growing discussion around whether Canon may adopt a global shutter-style solution, or at least move closer to one. From a real-world perspective, this would matter enormously. Modern stadiums rely heavily on LED lighting, which often causes banding issues with conventional sensors. Fast-moving subjects can also introduce rolling shutter distortion, especially during high-speed bursts. Any meaningful reduction in these problems would immediately benefit professionals working in sports arenas or fast-paced wildlife environments. High ISO performance is another critical factor. The original EOS R3 earned praise for delivering clean, usable files well beyond ISO 12800, and that reliability mattered far more to professionals than sheer pixel count. Preserving this high ISO character is widely expected, as it directly supports real-world assignments. Moderate resolution also plays a practical role in maintaining burst depth and buffer stability. When moments cannot be repeated, sustained shooting performance matters more than cropping flexibility. A camera that slows down or stalls under pressure fails its core purpose. For this reason, the Canon EOS R3 Mark II is unlikely to chase resolution increases that could compromise responsiveness. Instead, the focus should remain on consistency, speed, and reliability. Of course, sensor technology alone does not define performance. The processing pipeline is just as important. Canon's Digic X processor has served well, but it is beginning to show its age, especially as competitors adopt newer architectures. Canon has introduced the Digic Accelerator to handle AI-driven tasks, but core image processing still relies on older foundations. A refreshed processor could unlock several meaningful improvements, including smarter noise reduction, smoother tonal transitions, faster data handling, and more responsive autofocus decisions. These upgrades are not about marketing buzzwords. In sports and wildlife photography, backgrounds are rarely clean and subjects are rarely predictable. Better subject recognition and tracking logic can save critical frames and reduce mental strain during long shooting sessions. The shooting experience itself is another area where refinement is expected. Professionals spend hours behind the viewfinder, often tracking fast-moving subjects under challenging conditions. Viewfinder quality, therefore, becomes a major factor in overall usability. An upgraded electronic viewfinder, potentially a $5.76 million OLED similar to what Canon uses in the EOS R1, would make sense for the Canon EOS R3 Mark II. Low latency, smooth refresh rates, and accurate color rendering all contribute to reduced eye fatigue and more natural subject tracking. For a grip body designed for extended use, these details matter deeply. Eye Control AF is another feature that could see meaningful evolution. The original EOS R3 introduced this technology in a modern mirrorless context, and while it showed promise, there is room for refinement. An updated Eye Control AF system, sometimes referred to as Eye Control AF 2.0, could incorporate deeper AI logic to better handle complex scenes. Crowded sports frames, overlapping athletes, or birds in chaotic flight patterns are extremely demanding scenarios. If the photographer can guide focus intuitively with their eyes while the camera maintains precise tracking, the entire shooting process becomes more fluid and less exhausting. Video performance, while not the primary focus of the R3 line, cannot be ignored. The professional landscape has shifted, and many photographers are now expected to deliver both stills and motion. The Canon EOS R3 Mark II does not need to compete directly with cinema cameras or hybrid flagships, but it does need to offer dependable, professional-grade video features. Expectations lean towards stable internal high-resolution recording with robust codecs and effective heat management rather than experimental or flashy options. Internal 6K recording with high frame rate support would be a logical upgrade, especially for agencies that require short motion clips alongside still images. Canon's consistent color science across photo and video modes also plays a significant role in maintaining efficient workflows. Resolution remains one of the most debated topics whenever a camera at this level is discussed. Some photographers want more megapixels for cropping flexibility, particularly in wildlife photography. Others prioritize speed and responsiveness above all else. The Canon EOS R3 Mark II must navigate this balance carefully. A significant increase in resolution could negatively impact burst rates, buffer depth, and overall responsiveness. That would dilute the camera's core identity. Looking at competitors provides useful context. Sony clearly separates its lines by function, while Nikon blends capabilities but still defines roles. Canon often allows some overlap, which offers flexibility but also requires clear differentiation. The R3 Mark II must justify its existence with a clear purpose, and that purpose almost certainly remains speed, reliability, and ergonomics. Build quality is another non-negotiable aspect. The original EOS R3 earned praise for feeling dense, durable, and trustworthy. Weather sealing, shutter durability, and balance with large RF super telephoto lenses are far more important to professionals than cosmetic design changes. Canon understands that muscle memory matters. Professionals rely on consistent button placement, grip shape, and handling characteristics because they work under pressure. The Canon EOS R3 Mark II is expected to preserve this familiar feel while making subtle refinements where necessary. Ultimately, cameras at this level are not defined by promises or rumors. They prove themselves through real-world use. Specifications matter, but consistency, reliability, and trust matter more. As more concrete details about the Canon EOS R3 Mark II emerge, the conversation will shift from speculation to evaluation. And when that time comes, the camera will need to justify its place not through marketing, but through performance in the field, where moments are fleeting and second chances rarely exist.